All right, our weekend warriors. Let's start with Amari Cooper, who has a monster game, 7 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown, almost 25 fantasy points, currently a top 10 wide receiver on the week. I think most notably, though, Barry, finally a good week from Deshaun Watson. Who,
yes.
If you have Amari Cooper, you need that from Watson.
So, this should have been a touchdown.
That's
This was called. They say he stepped out of bounds on this play.
Right there.
He's like he's not even close. Like that might be the worst.
He has orange cleats on white lines.
I mean, not since Curtis Samuel got mugged in the end zone last year has there been a call this egregious. I wonder if it was the same ref too. That's a bad call. So Amari Cooper, monster game, 7 for 116 and a touchdown. Honestly, should have been two touchdowns and should have been like 136 yards, 140. Like again, just an absolutely outrageous game. To your point, yes, the most important, Amari Cooper doing Amari Cooper things, but Deshaun Watson finally looked good, guys.
Yep. That's probably the most relevant, I think, football takeaway from the whole week is that Deshaun Watson kind of looked like the guy that he was in Houston for the first time. If I was going to make one bet on the Super Bowl right now, it'd be the Browns at 24-1. So I think they got the best defense in the league, and if that Watson shows up again, then they can be as good as anyone. But the fact that he's able to have that kind of day, 27-33, 289, 2 touchdowns, takes the 3 sacks but no picks. He looked really good.
Yeah, and I think, next week, he did what he should have do because the Titans' defense is brutal, especially their pass defense, right? Their run defense is good, but their pass defense is brutal. So he looked good against a bad pass defense. He did what he should do. They play Baltimore next week, then they're on a bye, then they're home to San Francisco. So the next 3 weeks, I think, will be really telling for Deshaun Watson, but certainly a positive sign for him and the entire offense as well. Worth mentioning, Elijah Moore now has 25 targets in 3 games this season. It's finally happening for Elijah Moore. Now, it's all like at the line of scrimmage, but they're manufacturing touches for him, which I think is interesting.
Jay, how about Sam LaPorta this week? He's currently in line to finish as tight end 1, depending how Monday Night Football goes. Catches 8 passes for 84 yards and a touchdown. He has been, he's been on the field all preseason. He's been on the field all regular season. He's a consistent thing in this Detroit Lions offense.
He's tight end 2 in fantasy right now, 3 weeks into the season. He's been a monster, and outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been the guy. And he's just the locked and loaded. You start him every single week, and he's going to be a top 5, 6 tight end the rest of the way.
I think you're right. Second highest target share on the team after the Sun got at least 5 receptions every game this year. It's only going to get better. Again, we like Jared Goff. We like this offense. Sam LaPorta, I agree with you. Locked in as a mid-tier tight end 1. He's right there, like with Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
The Packers with a wild game, and a lot of that inspired by Jordan Love's second half. Jordan Love finishes the game 22 of 44, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Ends up, though, guys, with over 24 fantasy points because of the rushing. 9 rushes, 39 yards, and gets in the end zone on the rushing there. I mean, we talked about Trevor Lawrence, if you can continue to start him, and the question is raised because some lower-end quarterbacks are kind of making their way up in the fantasy rankings like a Jordan Love.
I know, Jordan Love, he continues to put up fantasy points, to your point. He's the 6th best quarterback in fantasy, and his upcoming schedule is pretty nice. Home to Detroit, at Las Vegas, and a bye, then at Denver.
Oh, fiesta.
That's right, exactly. So it is. I think, he's had back-to-back games with over 20 rushing yards here. He's averaging 22.5 fantasy points per game, and it also feels a little bit fluky. But and in terms of real life, he's I think inconsistent in terms of some of the throws. But also, by the way, no Christian Watson in this game, no Aaron Jones. Like A.J. Dillon's giving you nothing. So let's see what he does when he's got a complete offense. So I'm in on Jordan Love as a viable streamer. Certainly next week he'll probably be in others receiving votes. The Love will make the love list. By the way, this is pointed out to me in the break. And just as long as we're talking love-hate real quickly, I'm taking strays for no reason. I originally thought I was going to put I had Josh Kelly on my initial list, but then I'll give some credit here. I was talked out of putting him on. So we didn't put him on the love list. No, so again, I did play him in my DraftKings lineup. So I'll take that stray, whatever. And I did think he'd have a better game than he did. But just so you want to know, he was not on the love list. Raheem Mostert was on the love list, though. So you're welcome, America.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Damian Pierce? Or should we talk about Jordan Love?
No. Let's move on.
Yeah, move on.
Jay, how about the volume for Kenneth Walker? 18 carries, 97 yards. He gets in the end zone twice. More importantly, he also catches 3 passes for 59 yards. A big day for Kenneth Walker.
Big day for Kenneth Walker. Again, really favorable game script in the second half. enough. And I think the big thing there is that Zach Charbonnet isn't a thing at the moment. So Kenneth Walker, I mean, yeah, he's a RB1, low-end RB1, high-end RB2 until further notice in an offense that has found its way after a terrible week 1 against the Rams.
Listen, guys, when we found out Bryce Young was ruled out, our fantasy reaction was maybe Andy Dalton can do more for this passing offense, and that comes to fruition. Adam Thielen catches 11 passes, 145 yards, and a touchdown. Barry, this was a throwback Adam Thielen performance.
23 targets now over his past 2 games. Again, game script favor, but like their schedule is really nice. Minnesota at Detroit, at Miami. Miami's a really good defense, but they'll be blown out. So, second time junk point. Look, it just goes to show you there's value from old people. Hello. So I just want to say, like, hey, Adam Thielen, we are a pro Adam Thielen. We are pro AARP here at the happy hour.
Tough 80 seconds for Barry.
That's what I'm saying. By the way, DJ Shark had a nice game here as well. Jonathan Mingo left this game with an injury. Hayden Hurst is no longer a thing. You can feel free to drop him. We'll talk about more about tomorrow. But yes, as long as Adam Thielen is healthy, he's going to lead this team in target share and be a viable wide receiver. I know he's 31 fantasy points. I don't think you're going to see every week, but do I think he's a viable wide receiver 2-3 kind of on that cusp? I do, because of the massive target share.
Yeah, I like the Barry just as strayed, completely buried the soul of Hayden Hurst, and the Panthers might as well not bother showing up for the Miami game. So that's a 20-point loss.
Well, the bright side, Adam Thielen's back.
Do you disagree with either of those statements?
I don't.
All right, thank you very much.
No, I agree.
Listen, the surprise of the week had to be the Arizona Cardinals beating the Dallas Cowboys, and James Conner. We knew the volume would be there this year for James Conner. Shout out to the scrappy Josh Dobbs.
I love Josh Dobbs. That's one of my guys.
He's easy to root for, man.
He's easy to root for. If you took the names off the back of the jerseys, who's the better quarterback yesterday, Dak Prescott or Josh Dobbs? I think it was Josh Dobbs, and I don't think it was particularly close.
Josh Dobbs only had one more incomplete pass yesterday than Tua Tagovailoa, who had one of the greatest performances ever.
Josh Dobbs had, week 1, tough game against my mighty Commanders, but Josh Dobbs, we're going to talk about him tomorrow on the waiver wire. Josh Dobbs is averaging, I think, about 20 fantasy points a game over the last 2. Josh Dobbs is suddenly wait, what? He's doing what? It's unbelievable. And as Josh Dobbs goes, the reason we're bringing up Josh Dobbs is because he's moving the offense, which means James Conner is moving the offense. The fact that James Conner was the 6th best running back in fantasy as we headed into Monday night against the Cowboys is pretty impressive. Again, everyone was talking to us in the preseason about when we were like, why are you talking about James Conner? He's so gross. You know what I mean? It's off. They did. They're like, gross, the Cardinals offense. And everything like the cheap volume. We talked about this cheap volume you could get in the 5th, 6th, 7th round all throughout the preseason as well. James Conner was on the preseason love list. Thank you very much. And he's now had back-to-back games with over 100 yards from scrimmage. He's averaging over 16 fantasy points per game through 3 games this season. 76% of his team's running back touches for James Conner as well. This is completely legitimate. Josh Dobbs has given this offense enough of a lift that when you can do this against Dallas, the volume's going to be there. Locked in RB2.
This is why you don't pay Daniel Jones, because guys like Josh Dobbs are out there. And the thing with him is 6 carries for 55 yards. James Conner and Adam Thielen, friends of the show as well. So congratulations to them. Hope they can keep it up.
Josh Dobbs making it his personal mission that Caleb Williams does not end up on the Arizona Cardinals. Good for Josh Dobbs.
Who could use Josh Dobbs right now? The New York Jets.
You ain't kidding, partner.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.